do this. It's super important that you get the proper warm-up before starting your training. You want to make sure that you elevate your heart rate, keep your core temperature to elevate, make sure that you prime and prep your joints, and make sure that you're breathing through the nose, nasal breathing. That helps to utilize oxygen better, helps to set stability in our movements. We'll talk more about that in future videos. So, all right, let's go. All right, guys, so now I'm gonna go ahead and do my lunge to twist. This is a super beneficial movement. Again, we really wanna work in the transverse plane. And during our daily life, we're seated most of the time, we're working on computers, and even in our lifts, we're in a more of a sagittal plane. Sagittal plane is front to back. Again, you wanna go into a transverse plane, which is rotational work. So it's extremely important that we touch on that daily. You want to keep your spine fluid, you want to keep your spine mobile, and by doing so, these lunge to twist will definitely help with that. So when you step out, get your stability, push against your knee, open up, and back to base. You're going to inhale forward, give yourself some stability, make sure your toes are grabbing, your wrist placed against your knee, push away, open up, and try to keep your gaze forward. Really activate that scapula, squeeze that glute on this leg. That'll help for the hip to release and come out of it. So we're gonna inhale down. And again, this is preparatory work. This is work that's gonna get you primed and ready to go for your upcoming movements. Okay, so we're inhaling forward. And then this is what it's gonna look like in real time. Nice and fluid, nice and smooth. Give yourself time to warm up. Again, when you're cold, the movement isn't gonna be as fluid and smooth, but as you start warming up, your body's gonna start recognizing the patterns that you set. And it's extremely important that we pay attention to the patterns we set. The next movement I wanna do is called a YTA, and it's super important to keep our postural health working daily, right? Like I speak a lot about us sitting and us driving and us texting. Our modern lifestyle is pulling us away from our proper posture, which is going to inhibit so much in our life, especially our training. So it's super important that daily you touch on postural work. You're gonna hinge at the hip here, okay? So push your glutes back, your hamstrings back. Make sure your toes are grabbing, okay? You wanna build torque that way. And what you're gonna do is make sure that your sternum you lead with the sternum. So lower down and then lead here, okay? So lean forward, push back. You're gonna start here at the center. You're gonna come up to a Y position, and your thumbs. It's extremely important what your thumbs are doing. You want them to rotate up because that's going to build stability within your shoulder capsule here, tighten up all the connective tissues, okay? Really fight against this. If we are immobile, it's gonna be a difficult move to maintain, which is okay. We wanna go ahead and train out of that if we can. So now you're gonna come into a T, bring your shoulder blades together, back to center, and then into A position. Now, if you notice, my head is still neutral. I'm not craning, I'm not dropped. I'm pretty much in a neutral position. I'm looking about 6 feet in front of me. Okay, so this is what it's gonna look like in real time. So Y, give it a pause, fight for the movement. Back to center, T, pause, and then back into A, just like so. Another great movement for a structural integrity of our body is a basic plank. But there's a lot that goes into a plank. So when you come into it, you want to make sure that you bring your feet together, okay? You're going to tuck your pelvis under, just like so. You don't want to have this arch, right? Because that goes into a spinal fault. So you want to make sure that you tuck your arch, or excuse me, tuck your pelvis, looks like so. Okay, that's going to allow you to activate your glutes And then your points of contact, you want to make sure that your hands are grabbing at the ground, just like so. So if you notice, my fingertips are really involved, and then the eye of my elbow is facing forward, and that's going to help build stability here. Another thing, you want to look at your shoulder blades, so make sure you're not sagging, push through, and have a neutral head, and I'm leaning forward, just like so. Okay. Take note of my position. I'm strong from my toes all the way through the tip of my head. Points of contact are activated. My pelvis is tucked. My glutes are activated, just like so. All right, guys, so when you're rotating out of the traditional plank into a side plank, you want to make sure, so you can start off here with your feet staggered, right? If you're not stable enough to go into this position. What I like to do, I like to make sure that my hips are not sagging and that my rib cage is rotated to neutral position. I'm not here, and that my head is also in a neutral position too. So I'm not here and I'm not there. Hand to the side, keep the system strong. Okay, by doing this, keeping your head neutral helps to get the intrinsic neck muscles to engage, which helps with stability, just like so. And the purpose of planking, there's many benefits, but one of the great benefits, it helps to build strength within our joints. Being in this isometric position, right? It really gets to strengthen the connective tissues within our joints. And it helps to elicit joint health, which is extremely important in all that we do. Now that we've done all our prep work, now we're going to finally put it together. So think back to all the movements that we have done prior to this when going into position on how to set position. So my first movement is going to be Scapula Push-up, okay? The mechanics are no different than my plank. All I'm going to do is break at the shoulder blades and push away. Make sure that my arms are not sagging. Okay, my next movement is going to be a shoulder tap. So from here, we go into anti-rotational. So this helps to complement those side planks. Okay, what's going to happen is as soon as you go into that tap, your hips are going to want to drop. So you have to really fight against that. Again, it's anti-rotational, which we're working on that transverse plane. So instead of dropping our hips, we're really going to fight against it, tap, fight against it, tap. The wider your base and back with your feet, the more stable you are. The closer you bring them in, the less stability you have. Okay, and then from here, we're gonna move in to eccentric push-ups. So if you cannot do a push-up, this is where you begin, because it's a lot easier to train the body for multiple reasons with the eccentric movement versus the concentric. Eccentric is lengthening of the muscle, and it allows you to do the push-up with proper form. Okay, so when you come up into it, set position, always keep your elbows in tight. Again, the crook of your elbow is facing forward, and you're gonna lower down. Everything touches all at one time, your chest, your pelvis. Keep your elbows vertical. Now, if you don't have the strength to actually do a push-up, use your knees, come up, set position, lower down again. There's many benefits to an eccentric movement, and I will go over that in some of my next videos. Now we're gonna put it all together. These next movements gonna be a bit of a banger. So you're gonna go from a squat into a push-up. And every subsequent set, you're gonna add another rep. So you're gonna start with 1 and work yourself all the way to 10. More. Guys, it's really important that when you start getting to the point of fatigue, that you keep your composure and you keep your breathing mechanics correct. Because if your system starts to break down, the movement's no good. All right, my last set, 10. Keep it silky smooth. And there it is. Guys, that's today's video. Again, thank you for joining me on this journey. If you have any questions, any comments, please leave your messages. If you like the channel, please subscribe below. And again, we are training to be assets to society and not liabilities. All right, guys, enjoy.